This right here is a 590 original Mile Nissan 240SX, or is it?
This car is known all over the world on Google
for its shady history. And I actually have a Nissan 240SX Pro that is gonna tear apart this 590 mile
original car.
My name is Craig from Flying Wheels. This is Adam altogether, the 240SX
Pro. Adam, this car is at the Mecum Auto Auction.
It has supposedly
590 actual miles. It shows on the title as exempt, but it says actual odometer brand right here, 586 miles.
There is some weird things going on with this car. Adam, instead of me, like, I want to point out the untrained eye stuff that I see that makes me think, oh yeah, this car is awesome. Like this right here, the trim around the doors is perfect. The gasket. The window trim itself is in excellent shape. The paint appears to be in great shape. The windows are in great shape. The wheels are spotless, like perfectly glossy. Which to me says, yeah, 590 miles, that's amazing. Now the high bid on this car at Mecum earlier this week
was $22,000.
This car actually was taken down from Bring a Trailer at $19,000 for multiple reasons. Apparently this car isn't what we are being told it is. And like the internet detectives have figured out that the bidders were actually the sellers of the car bidding up the price of the car on Bring a Trailer.
So Bring a Trailer took this car completely down, and the same seller that is or has sold this thing on Bring a Trailer is the same seller that has or is selling this at the Mecum Auto Auction.
Now, without me going through it, I would like Adam to point out
everything you would see, because the headlights look great, the hood looks great.
Beautiful.
Adam, walk me through this car. What are you seeing about this 590 actual mile perfect car?
All right, I want to start by saying this is absolutely one of the nicest S14s I've ever seen in my life. I truly do believe that this is a very low mileage car because of the shape of the seats, the condition of the seats, the condition of the carpet where your foot would wear through, where your heel rests, things like that. It is absolutely one of the nicest S14s I've ever had the pleasure of seeing. Now that said, one of the first things I noticed when I got in this car, I said, I can't believe that a car like this would have such low mileage. It's amazing that somebody could buy a car like this and just store it and not drive it. But I was so happy to see that people do care enough and appreciated something like this in 1995 to preserve it like a time capsule. One of the first things I did notice was that the car has obviously been refinished. There's a mask line here, not a bad mask line. Any normal body man would do something like this, but it's a separation of the fresh clear coat from the original paint in the door jamb. But as you can see, the paint in the door jamb is really nice. So the paint on the car would have probably been really nice. But for some reason they decided to refinish it, and if you stored a car for 30 years, you'd think it would still be in really good shape. So that was the first thing I noticed. That made me question, why would you put a full paint job on a car that has 590 miles? So I look inside and I notice things like this airbag that doesn't necessarily appear to be sun damaged because the top of the steering wheel still seems perfect. If there were sun damage, this would be faded or loose, blistering, something like that. So a little suspicious that the airbag looks like it could have possibly been deployed, and instead of replacing it, they may have just glued it back together. I'm not saying definitely, but possibly.
Now there are other things that led you to believe that as well, because the airbag does look like that, number one.
Yeah. We have a full repaint on the entire car.
Yep.
Can you point out what you showed me under the hood real quick?
Sure. Well, a couple other things I noticed inside was the dash appears to have been refinished with like a trim black paint. And the reason I say that is because it has a little bit of a texture that shouldn't be there, and an inconsistency, like it's a little cloudy in areas. Not so much like it's sun damaged, but like it's spray painted with a rattle can. So somebody may have removed the dash and refinished it due to sun fading or to cracking if they filled in a spot and cracked it. Well, let's take a look under the hood and see what we're looking at here.
Now the reason we're making this video is because this was one of the first cars that caught my eye when we were driving our cars here to check in.
And I'm pretty sure it was one of the first cars that caught your eye too.
Absolutely.
I made a quickie Instagram reel about it, 60 seconds talking about this car. Adam talked about the paint, and the internet took over. 118,000 views in 24 hours. People were sending me links about this car. It was on Jalopnik. It was on a ton of websites.
And that's why I said this car is famous. Adam, obviously there's a paint inconsistency from here to here.
Well,
is that normal?
Yeah, the engine bay does not always match the exterior of the car. A lot of times, you know, they're painted separately, but you can see like the underside of the hood actually matches the engine bay pretty well. So all the cars don't have an exact color match engine bay to exterior of the car. Now this car may have been more of like a cherry red, and this is more of like an orangey red, so it's possible. I'm not saying definitely, but one thing that I noticed instantly, as soon as I pop the hood, is it all looks stock and beautiful, which is awesome. But look at the pulleys. Somebody has upgraded all of the pulleys to anodized aluminum pulleys, which if you cared so much about the authenticity of the car and originality of it, why would you put a set of cheap eBay pulleys on it that obviously stand out to be not factory? And some of the other followers that you have pointed out that the foam right here and the radiator to the radiator support is missing, and that's supposed to act as like an air dam to guide the air through. And I can see that these brackets were rusted and somebody refinished them, so that's not original. There are supposed to be decals on this radiator support right here. I can almost see the residue from where there should be. Now, if you point your camera down here, you can look at the center support for the latch. The hood latch isn't connected to the radiator support at all. It's completely buckled off and torn, as if somebody either towed it by that or some front end impact hit and pushed the impact bar into that it bent and tore that off, which actually is supported by the fact that this impact bar is black when it should be this red.
Oh, wow.
So this reinforcement right here should not be black. If this car is original, it should match this color perfectly. So a couple things right there, definitely a little weird. It should also have an under shield, a plastic underbody shield. So a big plastic splash shield that covers the whole underside of the engine and radiator support. It pretty much goes all the way forward to the radiator support here, and that's missing. So definitely an odd thing. It's missing. This is a special edition car. So because it's an SE, I know because it says SE on the back, it has the spoiler, it has the sunroof, all those things are special edition. But this one has the fog lights that match as well. It doesn't have a lower chin spoiler right here. It's supposed to have a little black lip. Not very aggressive or anything like that. It's probably only 1.5 inches. But just that little extra gives it the SE style over the base model. So this is missing the SE lip. The radiator support, I actually have a suspicion that it's been replaced. You can also see some of this orangey red overspray on the radiator support here, and I can feel clearly, clear as day, underneath here, there are MIG welds, not spot welds. So Nissan wouldn't have put this car together with MIG welds, they would have put it together with spot welds. So this entire radiator support has definitely been replaced. Why? I don't know.
Go up here.
What about that hood you noticed? So another thing I noticed when I was looking under the hood is the hood is beautiful, absolutely clean, no dents or dings, but it has this factory Nissan label right there. And if you look, it says RDOT. That stands for replacement, but it's DOT certified, the Department of Transportation. But if that R is there, that means it's a replacement part from the factory, not an original part to this car. Otherwise, it would have the VIN tag with the vehicle identification number on it, a little white decal that has the exact VIN to the car on the hood, and it doesn't have that. So I have a strong suspicion that this car has sustained a severe front impact, enough to destroy the front radiator support, ruin the hood, and then, you know, ruin the lower lip, lower shield, something like that. And in 590 miles, that's really odd. Why would that happen?
Can I ask a quick question in relation to this? Is it possible that maybe something happened in shipping and this car was damaged and then repaired and then sold with, you know, and there's only 590 miles on it?
Absolutely, yeah. It could have been damaged in shipping and then sat for years damaged. And then somebody decided, hey, that's a really nice car, I want to fix it. So that's absolutely a possibility, no doubt about it.
Can you show me the trunk too? We saw a couple spots in the trunk that really caught your eye. And also these wheels, which I had mentioned were in incredible condition.
I actually think the wheels are too nice. So I don't believe these wheels should be as glossy as they are. And if you touch and feel them, you can actually feel like a dirt texture and a little like a sticky texture too, like they used a spray paint or something.
I can see it down here like a clear coat on there.
Yeah, so I think these wheels were refinished. Again, if the car is low mileage as it is, why are we refinishing wheels? Why are we doing these types of things?
Now, while you open the trunk, while it was on Bring a Trailer, the 240SX fans
Realized that there were no fender shrouds, so no fender liners in this car. The seller has since put the fender liners in the car.
Which you could find from somebody parting out their 240SX. You know, that's what I would do. Now, I looked in the trunk and I noticed the unique floor carpet right here that I've never seen. And that's because this is not an original floor carpet. This is a carpet, while it looks good, it's a nice quality repair and a good replacement for somebody to do. This is not a factory part. This is something that somebody bought and cut and trimmed around to fit the spot where it's supposed to be, which again is also a great job. They did a very nice job doing it, just not an original part. And if it's a 500-mile car, why are we replacing the trunk carpet? Is it because there's potential water damage with these stains right here? We definitely have some water stains there. No rust in here, but this shouldn't have this gloss to it, so it looks like somebody has
You
clear
can actually
coated.
see it right here, how the clear coat reacted to whatever it was.
So somebody clear coated this trunk floor. Now looking in here, the trunk is incredibly clean, spotless. If it were like a rusted car, you'd see rust and blistering down there. I don't see any signs of water damage down here, which is awesome. But right here, this is a spot where there would have been what they call jute. Carpet jute, and it's just basically like a wool foam insulator to keep this from bouncing around and making noise. And that's what these little isolators here are. Those marks are like a foam isolator.
And have they been removed?
That keeps this from bouncing around, and they've been removed for some reason. So why? Maybe they got wet and moldy, I don't know, but they've been removed. So I'm not saying this is a bad car, please don't misunderstand. I still believe that this is one of the nicest 240s that I've ever seen in my life. I just want to question the fact that, is it really brand new quality? Is it really a 500-mile car? If it is a 500-mile car, why? Why are these things done?
Now, we haven't gone underneath it yet. I'm curious to see what it actually looks like
underneath the car.
It could be original, it could be painted. A lot of it looks, at 590 miles, I'd expect it to look this clean, but is that the color of the original muffler, like that black, or is everything resprayed?
No, I mean, that's an original exhaust, which is nice. You know, an original exhaust is tough to find because they always tend to break and fall apart and people upgrade them. Now, I will say that it's clean under here, but you can see that somebody has clearly rattle canned all of this. You can see like the run right there. Even if we look at this plug right here, you can see the original factory red paint that should be on it. This plug would have been in it when they refinished, or when they finished it originally, I guess. But somebody sprayed black paint all underneath the car, which could have been a way to preserve it. And you know, that makes sense if somebody wanted to take care of it and make it last. But again, if it were such a new car, why would they need to do that?
But then when you see the bolts on the rear diff, they're in great shape.
Yeah, and these should be like a gold or a silver. They shouldn't be painted.
Okay.
Now, I'm gonna put it to the test one time. I can scan the VIN on this car and find out the history. So what does the Carfax, the auto check history report, actually say about this car? So another thing that happened on this car, Adam, apparently the VIN tag is missing the rivets, and we can't see the VIN tag because it's blocked by this piece of paper, but the VIN tag doesn't have the original rivets on it. Now, if I scan that VIN right there, we can find out the history of this car through auto check. And it shows one owner, actual mileage, one owner right there. They rated a 69 out of 100 when the average is 43. No accident damage on the history report. Odometer checks out. Qualifies for their buyback guarantee. Again, no accidents. Came from Virginia in 1994. One owner. So there's no history from 1994 to 2019, which right there is a little sus, as my son would say.
But if somebody did buy this car to preserve it, that would be the exact VIN history, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, why would there be a history on the car,
in 1995 and stored it for 30 years, that's exactly what the VIN history would say.
And it was bought with 586 miles in 2019.
So you're right, actually. There would be no history on this car at all. You don't want service records. You don't want anything on it.
So the VIN is here. They covered it with this tag.
Yeah.
Intentionally? I don't know. Because the rivets are not correct. They're not the factory rivets. Somebody has removed the VIN tag and then reinstalled it. For what reason, I don't know.
So this 240 grabbed our attention right away. It's fascinating, and it's cool, and it is clean. But there's just so many oddities, so many questions raised. I would love to know what your opinions are. If you're an enthusiast in this 240SX community, do you know the car? What do you think about it? And what's the value? What's the actual value with the history or any type of suspicion like this? Adam, what do you think it's worth?
What do I think it's worth? Now, with all the questions I have, I'd like some answers before I could put a concrete number on it. And let me say that I'm not here to hate on this car. I am a 240 lover more than anything. And this, I can't say it enough, is absolutely one of the nicest, cleanest, original 240s that I've ever seen. And if repairs have been done, they've been done very well. So whoever owned this car and worked on this car and repaired this car did do a very good job. It is an immaculate car inside and out, but I question whether or not the mileage is accurate based off of what's been done. There are a lot of questions and red flags based off the history of the car, because if it has a clean Carfax history, why does it look like the radiator support has been replaced? Why is the impact bar replaced? Why is the hood definitely replaced? All of these things are big red flags, big questions that we deserve answers to.
We want answers.
Now that said, I still think this car is worth around 20 grand.
Wow.
All day. I don't think 20 grand is an unreasonable price for this car in this condition, considering what people are asking for 100,000 mile 240s, which 100,000 mile 240 is extremely low miles for a 30-year-old
Well, you're
car.
selling restored 240s with
Yeah.
high miles
Yeah.
for 10, 15 grand
Right.
regularly.
So why wouldn't this
why
car
wouldn't this
easily be worth 20 grand?
20 plus.
So I don't think they're asking an unreasonable amount. I don't. If it's sold for 22,000, I don't think that's an unreasonable
Yeah.
amount for a Mecum auction.
Right.
But I do have questions whether or not it's legitimately a 590-mile car, and why aren't any of these repairs flagged on a Carfax history?
Right. I want answers. What do you guys know about this car? What do you think it's worth? What are your thoughts and your opinions? Comment down below and let us know what you're thinking. We'll see y'all later.
Bye.